Good morning and welcome to the Green Room. Today I'm joined by our account representative from Alarm.com, Noah Billger. And today on the podcast, we really want to go over, what is Alarm.com? What are the features that help our customers? What do we feel as security integrators we can offer to our customers, looking at the commercial side of the business, and now the AI and shooter detection systems.
Thank you so much for having me, Harry. Always a pleasure working with you, and let's dig into it. I look forward to the conversation.
Great. So what is Alarm.com?
So look at Alarm.com as a platform. I've got a lot of partners that look at us and they say, Alarm.com is a hardware manufacturer, but that's not who we are. We look at an opportunity to develop a platform, a service that our customers and our partners can engage with that delivers a very different, unified, integrated experience with the products that you guys need and want in your homes and businesses. There's a very long answer that I can include, but we do a lot, and I think we're going to touch on some of those things today. Just know everything we discuss can be integrated with all the other products that we can integrate that are part of our ecosystem.
Which is why we love Alarm.com, and I know our customers do, because as soon as you get on the app, your life is in one page. And I think, we came from a lot of different companies to say, okay, one does access control, one does video, one does your alarm, and you have customers, and now you're putting 5, 6 different apps on their phone, and the majority of them don't understand how to use one of them, unfortunately. And now that you've made it so easy to add users and delete users and suspend privileges, it is just such a great company as a hardware company, but not just a hardware company, an incredible software company.
There are a lot of products out there that have maybe a little niche that they can meet the need of. They have a service that quickly to an end user it's novel, at best. I was on a call with a partner yesterday, and we were doing a demo for one of his prospective customers. And I asked this young lady, I said, hey, listen, what is it that you want from this? Ideally, if there was something that Paul could offer you, what would it look like? She said to me, without having been prepped, she said, I want it all on one app. If I can avoid multiple apps, that would be ideal. So I said, okay, and we dove into the details of what we could deliver, and she was thrilled. Single app trumps a lot of times those novel services that you can offer on a single product. So it's been fun to see the reaction of consumers when looking at our platform. So.
And a lot of them don't know about it. So you bring it and they're like, well, why would we want that? And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you want that? When all of your videos tied into one thing, and it's just great. And now your alerts, and I had one customer, their alarm went off when they were away, and they had an older, I guess, who made it? Like the Genesis, not the Genesis, the really old ones. Remember
the old cameras?
No, not the cameras, but the alarm
Simon,
systems.
GE, Interlogics?
No, you can still buy the same one.
Oh, 2 gig.
Gemini.
Oh,
Gemini.
NAPCO. Okay, yes.
So old NAPCO, and I talked to them about switching, and they were like, "Oh, our alarm works fine. We've had it for 30 years." You normally get the same story, and then it goes off, and you are their first call. Actually, their second. The police call first, and then you're their second, and they're like, "We have to upgrade." Because we were trying to guide a cop into the house to turn off the alarm. It wouldn't turn off. The code was wrong, and I'm like, now you need a solution where you can monitor it from anywhere. And it's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. Your alarm goes off, and how do you stop it when you're away?
There has to be enough value, though, for that customer to want to upgrade that panel.
Yep.
Because there's an expense. There's an investment the customer has to make. Mm-hmm. What does that investment look like? It's obviously going to vary from customer to customer, but what's the experience difference going to look like? And that's a picture. You could paint a beautiful picture for the customer and incorporate features, services that are really meaningful to them that take and elevate, turn that security system into something a ton more.
Yep, and you can also do it in baby steps as well. Let's add a camera. Oh, we love the camera. Can we add another? And now we have the floodlight camera, which is another thing I really wanted to touch on, is an incredibly powerful floodlight camera that does so much. And yeah, we can offer that to them. And hey, do you want a door lock? And then they're like, oh my God, this is great. Like my cleaner can get in now, all these other things. So it's like, now you're giving them an ecosystem.
100%. What I say, 13 years now, a little over 13 years, lucky 13 for me. I am excited about the continued innovation Alarm.com has a track record of executing on. They not only innovate, but they try to provide a benefit to the existing customer and allow them to bring additional products or even new capabilities to existing products that are in their home, business, and really enhance that experience. So that's something Alarm.com has a track record of executing on, and there's no indication whatsoever that they're going to stop with the investments and enhancing that experience. So
And that's what
doing
we
all the
want.
right things.
And that's what we want. A lot
Yes.
of, the companies won't do that. And you're stuck, hey, if you have this platform, this is your platform and nothing else.
One thing I learned early on is you cannot support a platform with hardware revenue. It just doesn't make sense over the long term. So Alarm.com has done things right from the get-go and made sure that we're making the investments and we have the revenue to continue to make the investments so that our partners and your customers don't have to suffer.
Yep. And it's great. And going back to that new AI floodlight, what do we call that? That's the...
Yeah, I mean, it's the Alarm.com floodlight,
Yep.
right?
And that's been so excellent. And I know like PoE++ powered, so we don't need to bring in an electrician. Or we can do line voltage, which is also great for our existing customers who have that. But just the benefits of it. It's a 3,000 lumen floodlight. Looks like kind of all the others out there, but it also has the red and blue siren available and the AI people detection. And now you have AI alerts that are now getting better and better. And I think we're on iteration 2 of it now, right? So
Yes.
they're longer responses. And so much more with it. So
Good pickup. So we
Yeah.
had a release just a couple of Mondays ago that took this voice that would call out somebody that was on your property that shouldn't be there, could highlight specific features of that person, what they were wearing, where they were standing, and could ask them to get off the property in a very direct way. And we've turned that into many different variations of messaging and voices that are available to the customer. So if I've got a place of business and, listen, I don't want to yell and scream at a potential customer. What I'd like to do is just let them know that, hey, we're closed for business. Feel free to leave a message. Or, somebody that's in an area they shouldn't be, this is private property, something to that effect. Don't quote me on it, but this area is being professionally monitored. And highlighting specific features of that person. Hey, you in the white shirt. Just wanted to let you know this area is being professionally monitored. So they think twice before they do anything that would affect you in a negative way.
And especially tying that in now to remote video monitoring. So now we can embed the AI video service. If the AI deterrent does not push, the prospective, intruder or vandal away, then it gets elevated to the response of our monitoring company, which I think is another incredible solution that, we really haven't had before. And I know that that's a really big thing is RVM, but just to integrate it into normal everyday products, like we can integrate it into a doorbell, we can integrate it into a floodlight or camera. So that's even better.
I love the fact you have the acronym down. Yes, remote RVM, remote video monitoring is a service our partners are latching on to because there's a big need. And they need it at a cost-effective price. So rather than hiring a security guard at the cost of $10,000 a month or whatever that number runs, you can do it for hundreds, right?
Yep.
It puts you in a much better position to be able to deliver maximum value without having to continue to roll trucks and replace hardware and just use an Alarm.com camera, and you can continue to layer those features on, those benefits on. We can even do it with third-party cameras now, so we can tie in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's great because I know like a lot of the security guards, they run away when there's a problem. So instead of going and confronting the problem, they drive the opposite direction because it's normally not worth their life or their time to do it. But now that we can have that, we can guide the police to exactly where it has to be. You have 2 layers of functionality now that before, you just had a camera and it just watched as something happened. So that's really great now.
You watch Landman, don't you? Did you see that episode?
I never watched one.
Oh, okay, you got to watch it. It's kind of interesting, but no. So one thing I do want to highlight is with remote video monitoring, I had the opportunity to watch a live demo of it was with a central station partner of ours. They took a remote video monitoring event in. And the way Alarm.com integrates with the central station, we provide all this contextual information. We show someone pulling up the driveway, getting out of their vehicle, walking up to the house, and maybe that remote video monitoring event is set to trigger if somebody is within 10 feet of the home for X amount of seconds. But all those events leading up to it add context. So the central station can have that additional contextual information kind of set up for them, laid out, so they see all these events pre-RVM trigger. Then they're talking with authorities, and they can say, hey, Mr. Operator, I'm going to go ahead and flip on the lights so you know exactly what home to respond to. So they get the fastest possible response. They can trigger exterior sirens directly from the central station. So lots of cool integrations that now the central station can tap into, and it really makes them a big part. I mean, your security guard isn't going to be able to flash a light on the side of the building and trigger a siren. A lot of cool features that we've layered in that make it much more powerful.
That is a ton of integration. I didn't know that was available.
Yes.
So they can actually move in and actually work. That's another great feature of having a full ecosystem that's able to tie in together.
100%. By the way, they can even trigger automation. So, Mr. Officer, I'm going to go ahead and unlock the door. We have sensors that have triggered inside the home too. Just give you a nice little point of entry at the front door.
Wow.
So if the partner enables it, if the central station's integrated, and if everyone's agreeable, certainly opt-ins, but we make sure that the right tools are in the right person's hands so you get the right response as quickly as possible.
And that's excellent. And we can also have, local recording using like a CSVR like we have on the table here. And as soon as the alarm goes off, we're also recording to the cloud. So now if they do come in and actually steal this unit right here, it doesn't matter. We're still recording as soon as the alarm went off.
Correct.
And that's another huge benefit of having a service that's behind it is it doesn't matter. They can take this. We still have everything backed up. So that's great. Even with our doorbells, I believe the PoE one ties into this now.
PoE doorbell
Yes.
does,
Okay.
indeed, so it can record 24/7. I mean, your typical doorbell is, it's taking snapshots. It's taking little clips, snapshots of time. What we've done with the new PoE door station is we've made it a real camera device. It's recording all the time. Partners have seen it more as a real substantial camera that sits at the front door and acts as a doorbell. And we've got a bright future for that product, so keep an eye on it.
I know, I saw it. It's and for MDUs now,
Yes.
you're able to actually scan a QR code, buzz to that person, to let them open the door. So I think that's great.
A little early yet. Not sure how much I can chat about it, but
A little early.
a little early. Don't know
but
what.
it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, I mean, we have features like that. We're thinking way ahead when we do build a product. This is where the line gets blurred a little bit. We see there being value in a product being affordable, and really capable of not only delivering value today, but tomorrow. What do we need in that product to do that? Where do we see that product going? So Alarm does an amazing job of thinking ahead, and that's another thing they have a great track record of.
Yep, and you're always planning for the future. And now I think we can go into like one of the big things, and I think the big thing that us as a company have been trying to push is shooter detection systems. And I think that is one of the most important building sensors that you can integrate into a building. And hopefully, at some point it'll be just like a fire system. It's this sensor right here. We have our two ultrasonic microphones, and we have our two IR light detectors. So we can actually use two forms of verification, which I think is great. A lot of the other detectors out there don't have two methods. But it's just a 4-inch by 4-inch sensor. And, our response time is great. And, hopefully you never have an active shooting event, but preparing for it is one of the biggest keys that a company can do. So what is your take on the SDS?
SDS, first off, the roots are pretty impressive. Where it came from, why the technology was developed. There's a great story behind that. I'm probably going to stay away from that for the purposes of this, but there is a great story behind that. Encourage you to look into it. But that said, I know our CEO saw this product. I don't know exactly in what order these events occurred, but he saw this product. There's a company called Shooter Detection Systems. And he wanted to make this very available to the small business, medium business, make this technology a lot easier to access. And so that's why we acquired the company a handful of years ago, and we have essentially built out something called SDS, powered by Alarm.com. So like you said, we want to make this as commonplace as a smoke detector, something that, why wouldn't I have this product in my home, maybe not my home, but in my business? Makes a ton of sense. If something were to happen, I want the fastest possible response I can get to an event, to a shooting event, and get emergency services there, life-saving care as quickly as possible.
And detection time, normally under a second. And then it's about 3 seconds that transmits to the monitoring station. Within normally 5 seconds, the police are dispatched to that exact location.
Not only that, but you're also going to have the benefit of video verification. So if you tie video in, Central Station could put eyes on the shooter, can pass over some more information, anything else that's pertinent, valuable to the responding authorities there.
Yep, and most times, sometimes the shooter will actually try and blend in to get out of the building. And now, as soon as you have the shot go off, the detector goes off, all the cameras are recording, we see exactly who did it, everybody knows what happened.
Correct. I mean, listen, today, ideally, you're going to catch that shooter before he approaches a property, before he actually gets in the property. What have you found? I mean, right now, I live in the Alarm.com bubble. I try to stay in tune with what's going on, get feedback from other partners. What have you found that's worked?
So I know a lot of school districts and a lot of things are actually implementing zero eyes. It's not really a hardware factor, but it is a server that's running, it's intaking their cameras, it's using the AI detection features to see if they have a weapon, and they also have military personnel, ex-police officers who are actually watching the feeds and saying, verifying that, okay, AI picked this image up, is it a true verification? They will go through it and do it, and that's an excellent thing, but now what I was told was a lot of the places now want the acoustic and the infrared signature, because if there is a false alarm or somebody is concealed carrying, you're not going to be able to see it. So if a gunshot does go off, this is going to be the detector that's going to save lives.
So you need a lot of resources, I'm assuming, for other products. If there is something that they can't quite identify, they're going to err on the side of caution.
Yes.
And so those resources in whatever complex or building you're at would have to be readily available. Listen, I've got 4 kids, school-age children, and to me, anytime there's a threat, whether it be, anytime they've got to hunker down in place, or I forget what they call it exactly, but
Yeah, like a lockdown.
yeah, lockdown. Anytime
Yep.
they have a lockdown type of scenario, I am petrified, right? I'm scared. My heart's beating fast, and until I get the all clear on my phone, I'm very concerned. So SDS to me is paramount. I mean, you've got a 99.9% effective rate, right? You're not going to have false alarms. For the most part with this product, it has a proven track record as a sensor in these type of applications. So I want something that works well as a parent, and being on the rep side of the product, to have something that works as well as this product does, puts me at ease talking to my partners about it. That said, most schools, most churches, houses of worship, wherever you deploy the product, any other product that is not going to have those resources available. And I'm assuming, being on the receiving end of monitoring that video feed, I would have to err on the side of caution for liability's sake. So anyhow, I'm going down a rabbit trail. You got it.
But it's a great product, and another thing with Zero Eyes is a lot of these companies cannot afford the video quality or the cameras that they need in order to make it work. And, you have to look at cameras that are able to see. You normally need 8 megapixel cameras. If you're doing a transit or, some of these bigger facilities, you may have to have 80, 90, 100 cameras. And at $2,500 a camera is normally what they're going to spec for a project like this. It's an incredible amount of money to spend. Plus you're spending installation, software, zero eyes, and, continuation of that where, something like this is, yes, it's a sensor. It basically just hibernates in the wall. That's on the wall, and until something happens, it just sits dormant.
All those analytics are run at the edge, quick
Yep.
response time. It puts you in a good spot to be able to get responses there, emergency responders there as quickly as possible. And I'll say, I guess I tried to think back to an event where I was in this position, but if ever there is a shot, I mean, there are some that assume that, hey, everyone's going to respond, pick up their phone, call 911. But when there's an emergency like that, if you're an untrained person, the response is generally, you're frozen. I mean, you got adrenaline pumping, you don't know what to do. I think it's called the bystander effect, where you assume someone else is going to do something. You're frozen in place. And this is why services like this are just critical.
And it's the denial. And, in some of the presentations that we've seen about it, it's the humans are 60 seconds to 3 minutes to figure out what happened. Do we, run, fight, hide? Do we, hunker in place? What do we do? A gunshot just went off. The normal person hears it, it's loud, they don't know what's going on. And that's also to say, where did the gunshot happen? Because a lot of, when you're calling 911, where did it happen? Well, it could have been in the east wing, could have been in the west, area, it could have been in the yard. Nobody knows exactly where it happened. So with a device like this that is named in a certain place, it says it happened in the east annex on floor 1. Now you're going to actually direct them to the building plans, and that's exactly where it happened. And we can send our forces right to there, automatically use automations through the Alarm.com platform to lock down specific areas, use video verification, and just tie everybody together in one, ecosystem, so it's easy for deployment of police and whoever else needs to be in the facility.
100%.
And mass notifications, too, is another thing that you can send all your notifications to the ranking officials that need it, which is also great because if you have, the head of a police department or head of SWAT, if you're a school, I think that's an excellent integration with them as well. And I know that we're trying to really drive this product because in our eyes, it's a cost-effective solution that, needs a cell connector, which is a, cellular modem that's, brought by Alarm.com. And, we can do up to 50 sensors on a powered-by system. So cost-effective, easy to monitor, just a great solution for any business to have.
You are looking at, you brought up some great points here with the amount of time it takes a person to respond once they've heard something. They're naturally in denial of an event. I had one partner and we were chatting. He's part of a school board, and they had boiled down. And it was not to be insensitive, certainly not careless with their words here, but they'd boiled down every minute to X amount of lives, right? So in their mind, anything they could do to improve that response rate helped us save lives. And I think ultimately that's what this product's about is if there were an event, and listen, there's not a fire in every building, but every building needs smoke detectors. If there were an event, how quick would the response be, and how many lives can I save? I want to just maximize that number. So that's what Alarm.com does well. There are some statistics out there that does highlight that with the SDS sensor.
And, there's so many companies that are now integrating this product because it is small. It just takes a single, PoE cable. You attach it in and, put your cell connector in and it's there. And so just ease of use. We love it. It's a great product. I know that we have a couple upcoming, proposals that we're putting together for it and, get it out there.
In the event of a shooting, one nice thing about this product is because it's part of the Alarm.com ecosystem, it does not only trigger that video to go to the central station, but can also fire off sirens to raise awareness in the building, make sure that everyone knows that they need to vacate or that there's some type of emergency. So that is another aspect of the service, and I know we anticipate some access control integration over time as well with this particular product.
So looking at the SDS after action reports, I know they've had a couple FBI agents that have actually looked at this, and what actually was supposed to happen, what actually happened, and how SDS technology could have made a difference. So what was supposed to happen in the normal human world, quick reporting to the police, quick alerting to occupants, the run, hide, fight, and other training protocols initiated, and quick resolution of the incident. That's what is supposed to happen in an active shooter situation. What actually happens, and I know we touched on this before, was inability to call, the human-driven delays, the denial, lack of verification, panic and chaos, inaccurate information, location of the gunshots, time and location of the shooter, and a lot of that you just don't have. And then how this technology could have made a difference was instant detection. So there's no human in the loop that has to trigger that alarm. Verified alarm and instant notification to building occupants. That's what I was saying. That's why it's great to have a lot of users. We can branch out, have different emails in, and ultimately the worst day is a false alarm. And that's why with a device like this that has so much testing, so much behind it, you have a 99.9% uptime and use case that the chances of you having a false alarm is very, very rare. So I think that that's another really core piece of this device is, they tested a lot of devices. I know the New York and New Jersey Port Authority did test a lot of devices, and a lot of them failed within 15 minutes. Pretty much from all the big, names out there. And this device was the one that lasted and didn't go off. And so I think that's a testament. They were banging, knocking, hitting, and this one was safe and, accurate at the end of the day.
Again, it has a long track record, and there's certainly examples out there. I was talking to one of our field service folks, and just getting his experience with deploying these units, seeing SWAT teams test, looking at their response to how the device itself responded, and the capability, how it responded to real events and how it didn't respond to false events. As you mentioned, I mean, there's a lot going on at the Port Authority.
Yeah.
A lot of noises, distractions, banging, and nail guns. In this particular instance, the one I'm thinking out in California, they could not get that SDS sensor to false with nail guns or pots and pans. It put them at ease that this sensor, when it triggers, it was something real.
Yep.
So we're not crying wolf. And that is important as well for authorities.
And because it does use that 2 layers of verification. So it may hear a bang, but if it doesn't see the IR imaging, the detector's not going to go off. So you need both of those to go off.
Probably the best example I have of that one, I think it was right around the time of John Wick 3, the latest.
The latest
one. I kind of
one.
enjoyed the John Wick. Anyhow.
I started to watch them. I
Okay.
just haven't finished them yet.
Fair enough. Well, this came out, there was a theater that was deploying these right around the time of that John Wick release. This thing is sitting right in the theater, the SDS sensor sitting right in the theater with John Wick in the background, and there were no false alarms. So just to prove the point, you've got 2 sensor technology. You've got a really, really loud bang from John Wick. If you've seen any of the movies, there's a
Yep.
lot of shooting. But the flash does not have any heat behind it. There's no IR flash.
Yep.
So it puts you in a good position to be able to differentiate, or put that sensor in a good position to be able to differentiate between real and false.
And it's another good thing to tell your customer, because if they are a movie theater, they can't worry about the system if something's going to happen. Yep. And you don't want to put the system on test if you were showing a movie, because that defeats the whole purpose of said system. So I think it's great, and it does cover, I think it covers a lot of ground. It's the majority of 40 feet in each direction, which is great. So it says, each sensor covers up to 2,500 square feet. So we recommend putting them in common areas, common hallways. You're not going to put one in every single room unless you have a budget for that. But, most common areas is where, a shooting would happen. So put them in all the common areas, and they just operate.
Yep. So you do have 40 feet, 180 degrees. You nailed that. Does deliver, it does not actually need direct line of sight, which is a nice thing. So if you have a pole in the way, it can still hear. and see that IR flash. And you can do ceiling mounted or wall mounted, which puts you in a good spot there.
Yes.
But you mentioned common areas and a starting point, unless you have the budget to do everything. And that's what generally we see partners do, is find those most common areas or those gathering areas where people would congregate, where an event would most likely happen, and deploy units there.
I'd rather get it in your building, get it working, get it in the common areas, then if you say we really, want more, we can expand. Just another thing, like constant expansion, but get it in your building. It's cost effective enough that it can go, in a normal budget or anything else like that. And that's really nice. And I know that, there are grants available to religious institutions and schools and different things where, that's who we should be protecting most is the schools, the religious institutions, especially kids. We were looking at a school, the other day, and, they have 8 buildings, and they have 2 on-site police officers and maybe, 15 or 20 guards. That's not a lot of people to cover. What is it? 3-4 million square feet of indoor space? If something goes off, how fast can you get there? And that's a concern.
I don't know what the typical set of resources are, security resources for a typical school, but that sounds like a lot more than the typical.
Yeah.
15, and so you have 17 folks on call there.
Around there. But that's a lot of square footage. It's 8 buildings.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
So if you have to go to a different building, how fast can you get there? Where did it happen?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where you're not in that building. I don't know that it was in this area or that area. So now you're driving people to, where did they go?
So I've got 17 resources at the school, and they need to get to that shooting as quickly as possible to
Yes.
that particular location, and that's where this will come in handy. So one thing that Alarm can do through the notifications engine is send a push, a text directly to those resources in very short order.
Yep.
So they know exactly where that shot came from and can respond. And they're the ones that are trained to respond, right? They're the ones who know
Yes.
where to go in the event something like that happens.
And that's another thing, the lockdown drills, your procedure to actually lock down a facility, I think is crucial when implementing a system like this is how are we going to lock down effectively? What is everybody's definition of lockdown? Some people say, stay in place, shelter in place. Some are, run out of the building as fast as possible. And I think that's another thing we ran into is nobody has a true contingency plan. You talk to one person, we're supposed to lock our doors, pull the shades down, shelter in place. And some others are like, I'm getting out of this building as fast as possible. And I'm like, the lockdown is ineffective if you're getting out of the building because now you're getting out, so could the shooter. You could have another issue outside and not even know it because you're all trying to run out of,
Yeah, no, I think that the example you provided is spot on. I mean, the definition of a lockdown varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, from person to person. What would the ideal scenario be? And I don't think I have the answer. And again, it will vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. I want to make sure that I know Alarm.com is focused on making sure you have the right set of resources to define the lockdown however you feel it's best for you in your particular situation. I think it can look different from scenario to scenario, but having those resources to be able to define that, what happens when, is where Alarm.com will shine. Maybe some
Absolutely.
recommendations, but
Yeah, and I think as a security contractor going into the institutions or going into religious institutions, you have to be able to prepare them a plan as well. Because they may not have one, they may have never thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know at the school I attended, it was shelter in place. You go in, the door's locked, shades come down, that's where you are. It didn't matter if it was your classroom or not, that's where you went. And I think that ultimately kept a lot of people safe because we did have close calls over the years of people just coming in a door, kids opening a door, didn't know that person wasn't supposed to be there. Now we're letting somebody in who doesn't belong here. So when you have 1,000 people, it's not very easy to figure out who should be here and who should not. Because kids are very trusting. So you have to really look at that and say, this is the correct procedure, but how do we implement it correctly so everybody understands?
Yes. Yeah, I've dealt with folks, shared some stories about schools and fire drills now and what those look like, and they're not what I remember
Yep.
when I was a kid, where they're not gathering in one place. So security in these scenarios are top of mind for those in charge and making these decisions. So, yeah, I think a lot more thought needs to be given to how we approach these, and again, looking at every scenario and making those recommendations and making sure we can deliver on those.
And I think implementing two sources, like if you are using Zero Eyes and have all the equipment and can do that, that's excellent. And I think it's a wonderful first layer of detection. And I think that this is an excellent secondary layer of detection that is not extremely costly, but able to be installed. And most of the time can be integrated with their existing system. So it's a win-win for everybody all the way around. So, that's just another great item that is offered. I know that we're really excited about it, and hopefully other dealers are starting to get onto it and offering it, because I know I spoke to, a good bit of them, and nobody really knew it existed, and I'm like, this is what you have to start selling. Your customers will love this, and it's a great thing.
Listen, you are definitely at the forefront. You think we've got a lot of this product out there for sure on the shooter detection enterprise side, but happy to say that Evergreen. How do you like to be referred to?
Evergreen Networking and Security.
Evergreen Networking and Security is at the leading edge of deploying this in, should I say, the Philadelphia market?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that where you're focused?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Awesome.
For, schools and anything else. So, listen, that's what we love to be, is the forefront. Get in front of everybody and, try and sell this product. And I wouldn't sell a product I don't believe in. And that's, I remember when we first met, you just knocked on this door and it was by chance that I was in this building. But, super excited to get signed up. And, we're not the biggest account holder, but I know that we're moving in a direction that I think is wonderful for everybody, and pushing a device like this and pushing video and the AI solutions, and all of that is, where we want to be. Support-wise, it's excellent, and, our customers love it. And that's the only people at the end of the day who have to love the product is our customers. And if it makes their life better, I know we were talking on our last podcast about building solutions for so many different types of businesses. Restaurants, we can integrate thermostats into coolers. Something that you really wouldn't think of, but if a cooler goes down at 1 o'clock in the morning, the owner wants a notification that, okay, I know that all my food's going to be spoiled tomorrow. That may be a health issue. It may, that's a bigger issue than not. So just building systems that we can implement, I think, is great.
Yep. And, back to that point, you've got a restaurant where the temperature of their coolers and freezers really, it's paramount to helping them deliver a consistent service and not being inspected by the food and health, whoever they report to there.
Yeah.
But, kids in school, people in homes of worship or places of worship, they are in a safe place and they expect it to be safe. And this is a product that just helps ease their mind. If something were to happen, they're going to get an immediate response. Do you want to migrate over to some automation? Is that what you were doing there?
Yeah, let's go to automation.
Transition?
Yeah, let's go to automation.
Okay, I love that.
So it's, I know with automation, we can integrate with like Lutron Caseta and Lutron systems, which we've done for a couple customers now. And if their alarm goes off, we turn on different spotlights and different things like that, which is great. We have the water shutoff valve, which is another great piece of hardware. And that's great because I know a lot of insurance companies now are actually requiring you to have a automated water valve inside your home, or they will not cover you. A flood is very costly, and they don't want it.
Yeah. Listen, if we could stop on the water shutoff valve for a second. Not only automated, but smart enough to know how much water you're using.
Yep.
If there's water flow that looks unusual, notifying you and just giving you the ability to control or automate that water valve. A lot of folks have water sensors. I've got a lot of partners that move a ton of water sensors because if you've ever had water damage,
Yeah.
it is not fun. It's scary to think about potential mold and obviously tremendous amount of damage and inconvenience that it causes. But to have a product that's going to minimize or prevent, stop that damage, by the way, it pairs beautifully with the water sensor.
Yes.
You still want the water sensor in the home. It is in addition to, but insurance companies have wised up because the number one claim is water damage. Like the biggest claim.
The biggest, it's that and fire, and not a lot of people have fires. I mean, I guess there are a lot, but flooding is just so regular that you may have a pipe in your garage. It could burst, you wouldn't know. I mean, I know I put water sensors by all of our washer and dryers, and I think that that's a cheap solution that if it detects it, shuts a valve off. So it's an immediate response, and even, they can detect pinhole leaks and shut down, which is great. And so they, couple different variants of it, but, I think it's a great addition, and you can work with a plumber, and he can install it. You put it into their alarm.com system, and I don't think it's cost that much extra to actually add it to your account, so it's a good service.
I had a great partner of ours up in New England. He calls me up. He says, Noah, I've been intending on installing this water shutoff valve, but this is the typical scenario, the shoe and the shoemaker, He's like, no, I've got this pinhole leak somewhere in one of my walls. We can't identify where it is. It's my floor's buckling. They're trying to find it. They're here now. And boy, I wish I had that before my floor's buckled. So, I mean, listen, there are a million examples. I certainly have big events. You have small events, like you had mentioned, the pinhole leak.
Yep.
Run into a couple of those, right, Harry?
I have had a pinhole leak.
Yes.
Yes. But it's nice because you can configure it to what you use. You just have to configure it. You got to find out how much water does your customer really use. Because it's possible, and it's not just with this valve, it's with every other valve out there, they will shut off. Because if they think you're taking a longer shower, it has to learn you as a family, as a human, as how you use water. I know, like, when I fill my pool, it has a possibility of going off because it's just a wide open flow, and it's like that's not supposed to happen. So it's good to know, like, that it's always watching. Just another good, piece of technology. I know we compare that with like a water dragon. If you don't have, if you want to see how much water you're actually filling your pool with or something else, there's so many neat additions.
Listen, you'll still swim, right? The pain you got to deal with the water shutting off, just on a quick one-off basis. I mean, that's a very small pain compared to the alternative. It's just something you roll with, and what do? You pull out your app and you open your water valve.
Yep.
Say, no, it's not an event. We're good, and we'll take care of that.
And temperature sensors. It's another great thing to place around your house. Super small little, I don't know, I think they're like an inch by an inch sensors. I have one in my basement. I have them in my garage. Like, I think they're awesome because it's, monitoring temperature and humidity. Hey, if it's too cold, it sends me a notification. Hey, you may need to raise your thermostat. So that's really neat.
I'll tell you what, in my house, we have 2 refrigerators. We got an extra big freezer. I've got 3 of 4 of my children are boys, growing. Sometimes, if they ran out of food, I feel like they would eat us in some situation. That said, we've had refrigerators go bad. The spare refrigerator, that we, just to monitor something, even in a residential type scenario, to monitor the temperature in a refrigerator to where you store all your meat, your steaks, your whatever it is that you eat.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend any vegans out there. Yeah.
But for restaurants even, I mean, it comes to unsafe serving at that point. Yeah. Now, what if your power went off in the middle of the night, you didn't know, you were away, you came back, you ate that food, it's spoiled. You wouldn't know, maybe you wouldn't know. I don't know, I don't keep meat that long. So I don't know, but for restaurants, I mean, it's crucial. And even like integrating people counting, different things into that. I mean, there's so many good ways that we can integrate.
And what we're talking about here is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's just knowing what's going on and knowing what something's happening that shouldn't be happening. And it's empowering you to live your life and just only know about the events that you need to know about.
Yep.
That are critical.
And another big thing is on our app. If you have an alarm.com app, you'll see it. If not, it's called Highlights. And just an easy way throughout the day to see exactly what happened. Doors open, armed, unarmed, what happened, which I think is a great thing that I haven't seen anybody else do, and just a great feature.
Do you know, it's funny, for our residential accounts, they get the benefit, or for your residential accounts, they get the benefit of Highlights, any of our AI-driven cameras. When that feature first came out, it was exciting. And I didn't realize how important it was to customers until I talked to a couple of end users. For me, I don't think it's much of a selling point, but once you start to experience those highlights, you say, oh, here's a summary of the day from your front doorbell's perspective. All of a sudden, you're like, oh man, that's kind of nifty. I'd like to see, hey, when the kids come home and come and go, when did the
Package
housekeeper come over, package come, dog walker. I get it quick in 30 seconds. I see exactly what went on at the front door.
And I know with this doorbell, we can do package detection, which I think is great. I mean, you get packages every day. And I know that they, send you a picture.
Just
but
one?
No. Well, we're trying to be conservative
Okay,
here.
okay. Yeah.
Different doors. They go to different doors.
Remember, I got 4 kids. I think 3 of them have access to the Amazon account. So.
Just Amazon. It's
There
just
you
coming
go.
back and forth. But, with something like this, it's, hey, you got a package.
Yep.
And the integration and, right into your highlights, it's just such a great piece of technology.
It's something that's overlooked often. Listen, package delivery, super nice to see that, yes, Amazon tells me it's delivered, and sure enough, it's there on my front stoop. I knew I had a package delivered recently, and it said that it had been picked up. And I said, where'd it go? I had 2 of these crazy stories. And it had, with all the wind and stuff, it was a lighter package, it had blown off. But I knew it had been delivered, I knew it had been picked up, the pickup was it blowing away. We just got a puppy, but just about a year ago now, I think we just hit that 1-year anniversary, and my brother-in-law had come over to help out and walk Milo. Walking Milo, and on his way in, he decided to pick up the package, and I get the notification around midday, around noon. I said, no, it should be home. And sure enough, there it is, my brother-in-law walking Milo. And I said, oh, that makes perfect sense. That's great. Good. Hey, I would have liked to have known if it was someone who shouldn't have picked it up so I could quickly address it. Right?
But it caught it.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Package retrieved.
Package retrieved.
That's it.
So, just integrating those little features. They're such small features, but once you start building on top of them, they just grow from there. But especially automation, I think lights is great. Familiar vehicle detection, if you do pull in your driveway, you label that car as familiar, and it can actually turn on your spotlights or do different things like that, which I think is a great thing. But basically, the automations are endless. You can pretty much make anything you want it to do, which is great. Our hands are not tied.
Yes. Listen, I just started playing around with the holiday Christmas lights on the house, and it was fun this year to automate those using the cameras and saying, hey, if someone's driving down the street, if I pull in the driveway, I'd like for the cameras, all the lights to come on. So, I wanted to enjoy it, appreciate it if I got home late, just be able to see them for a quick second.
Yeah.
And they only came on for 5 minutes if I pulled in the driveway, but I got to enjoy them for
5 minutes.
Yeah, for at least 5 minutes, right, if I was stuck on a call. But, lots you can do with cameras to trigger automations. And, again, it's delivering awareness. Like you had mentioned, that familiar vehicle. More importantly, if it's a vehicle I don't know, I'd like to know that it pulled in my driveway.
Yep,
Okay.
and I love it. I love the tracking because I actually set up a new thing to watch my driveway. Just like a different zone. I have one that watches my front patio, one that watches my driveway. Tracks when I get oil, when I get a package, like vehicle detected, and all those different things. So that's really neat. I'm not saying you always need that, but I want to know who's in my driveway. I'm not home.
Absolutely.
But looking at those cameras compared to the other cameras that we've sold over the years, I mean, those cameras, you'd have to go back and dig and dig and dig and dig for footage. And now it's like, 30 seconds, perfect. 30 seconds, perfect. Person, perfect. Vehicle, perfect. Like, easy.
I hate to throw all these examples in here. You can pick and choose what you want, but my son and I, we love to throw the football and play some catch and run routes. And I'll tell you what, he's amazing. I throw him the football, he catches. He has these amazing, over the back. My throwing is not great, so he's got to be an amazing catcher, right? It's putting him in a good spot. Anyhow, so he's got an amazing catch, and we are dinner later that evening. Say, Dad, we got to find that catch. And I went through, and it was not at all fun to try to find a catch on this camera. We probably spent the better part of an hour and a half try to. So I changed the rule, and I created a rule. And when we catch, I toggle it on. So every time he runs in front of that camera, because that's about where he catches it, it identifies a person. So now it throws it right up there, and the recorder can do that now. We actually have some cool capability in the recorder itself now that can do that without you having to enable or turn a rule on or off. It just happens kind of in the background. But yeah, it's great. The next catch he had behind the back, we got that one for sure.
And this is such a great product because on the bottom of each timeline, it'll show if a door open, door closed, door locked, which no other recorder has ever had, which I think that's awesome. And it's so easy to use. And it just integrates right on your network, stays there, and just intakes its video.
Yep. Yeah, no, video I think is come a long way with Alarm.com, and we still have so much further we can go. So the vision is big, I know, well beyond my understanding. But I can say that this particular recorder, the way we do video, even when we're recording on the edge device, something we call onboard recording, to quickly overlay sensor activity on the camera timeline. So show me every time a vehicle pulled in. Show me when that door opened up. When a vehicle drove by, we can quickly overlay that on the timeline, and you can go to those exact moments in time. And even more important, I think, is from, typically I don't like looking at a timeline personally. I like to go in when I'm traditionally looking at video clips. It's because an action prompted, an activity prompts me to want to look at that clip. So, hey, who opened the exterior garage door at 1:30 in the morning? Oh, it's just my son, going to check on the mail or whatever he's doing at 1:30 in the morning. Grab something out of his vehicle. So just little things like that where I can go to those exact moments in time without having to hunt. Because I'll tell you what, if most humans are like me, that's important to me, that's second.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, my wife asked me to do something, or I hear a kid screaming and yelling and getting in a fight. I do have some younger kids that like to go at it. I'm going to be quickly distracted, as you guys know.
But this is,
Yes.
so many features, and not saying that you have to have this on it, but this is a great addition if you do want that 24/7 recording instead of just 30-second clips. So I would definitely integrate it in my own system. I know a lot of my customers have it, and they use it all the time. But they also want that, 24/7 video. They see the doors open, they see everything moving, and that's another great thing. And I think one other thing I do want to touch on is, connected fleet and connected car. And I think it's another product that is not as well known. Maybe it is to other dealers in different states, but to us, for tracking trucks and vans and cars and kids and everything else. It's another great little device, integrates so easily onto your app and everything else that, it's crazy. It's a great device.
It is indeed, yes, both for the homeowner or the family or the business owner who just wants to keep an eye on the fleet, see where people are. I'll tell you, I was with actually an end user very recently. And, the first time we met, I was with a partner. So I'm going to take a baby step back to that story. I was with a partner on Long Island, and this is an electrician. He owns an electrical business. He has many trucks out on the road, and it's frustrating to him when he doesn't know where his team is.
Yeah.
They're busy, they're pulling wires, and he's wondering where their truck is. Are they at this job? Are they not? He stresses, and you could see the stress on his face. And one thing they were doing that afternoon was they were installing some of the connected fleet devices, which is a really simple installation, but provides a tremendous amount of insight. So I followed up with a partner recently, and it was kind of neat to hear that he's seeing so much value. He's got a smile on his face more often than not now, which I was thrilled to hear because I'm a solutions guy. I love it, and it sounds like, I know, Harry, you are a solutions
Yes.
guy. You love solutions that deliver immense amount of value, and this is something that doesn't, and it's built into the same app. Listen, when I pull into the house, not only can I trigger automations based off of an analytic, but I can also use my my connected car device to actually trigger the automation. You got a couple car garage, and you don't know. Never mind, I won't go there. But I've heard some funny stories. Listen, I can light up the sconces on either side of your garage door
Yep.
based on your vehicle coming in range. and it's evening.
It's
right? So it kind of light it up like a runway.
Yep.
So a lot of stuff you can do. But I'll tell you what, not only the awareness for a connected fleet, there are some exciting features that I'm aware of that we're delivering that strike a nerve with a lot of our partners, especially this time of year, trying to conserve energy, trying to keep costs down. Running a business is not inexpensive, to say the least. So, I certainly don't want to be burning a bunch of extra fuel that I don't need to burn. So idle time notifications are important. I believe that's on the roadmap. Just more awareness.
And reports.
In real time, yes.
And the reports are great because, you can calculate all that. But I think, in the commercial side, it's excellent. I think in the residential side, it's excellent too. For kids and, where's the car and how fast are they going or where are they going? And, but for fleet, I love it. I know we run them on our cars and, they're just efficient.
Listen, commercial fleet's going to be huge this year. It's already been big, and it's going to explode. I think this is going to be the year of commercial fleet. Keeping an eye of those assets, making sure employees are doing the right thing. But more important, it's just awareness.
Yep.
When you need it and if something's going wrong. I'll tell you what, one thing that I've seen personally on a couple of occasions, you ever had a check engine light come on?
Yes.
One thing I didn't know is that it takes there's a certain tolerance for a failure, a certain amount of time before that check engine light comes on. So it takes a little bit of time to generate a check engine light, unless it's a very big issue. But, if it's there, if it's a blip, it'll show up. And we've been able to preemptively address issues that could essentially stop a car in its tracks because of an intermittent notification on the Alarm.com app. And this is me personally, very excited. Actually, after this trip this week, another car story for me. I'm going to go into the shop here for just a sensor replacement on my ambient temperature. I think that's not because of the cold. Who knows? It could be salt and schmuck in there. But so preemptively, I'll be able to address an issue or at least get a sensor replaced before it goes into a failure. So
Yeah, and I remember you were here before, and you're like, I got to go plug my connected car, and I have a check engine light.
yes,
And then set it up real quick, and it was like a couple minutes setup.
yeah. Oh, you saw? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's
and
right
you
outside the
plugged it
Porsche
right
shop.
in. Yeah, and it was like, oh, I figured out my issue. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was that easy? It was that easy. So, that's just another great product. So are there anything else that you think that's coming down the pipeline that people should be watching for, in our commercial side or residential side?
Yeah, so Harry, I'd say one of the more exciting products that we have coming out, it's actually a really great service that after talking with partners, I realized there's a tremendous opportunity with this, and that's our in-app safety button. It allows you, I guess when we think about security, we look at, we talked about the business, we've talked about the home, but what if we're out and about? Whether I am in the city with friends or visiting a place I'm unfamiliar with, or I'm an employee showing a home, a realtor showing a home, I can just simply pop open the Alarm.com safety button, and this in-app safety button allows you can either open the app, or you can slide over to our new widget, where I can just simply tap and get help if needed.
Really? There's a widget now?
There is indeed. Yes.
Okay.
So this is essentially designed for me to call for help. If I'm ever in a position, not call for help, but if I'm ever in a position where I need or think I might need somebody, I can just simply tap the button. If I'm safe, if I get in my car and I'm driving away and I'm safe, I feel comfortable, I can go ahead and let it go and type in my 4-digit PIN. And we have some great content on this in-app safety button. Take it wherever you want. And you think about the opportunity to extend security now to a loved one, to my family member, my child at school, walking home from the school bus, just anywhere they go. I've got a child that's about to head to college.
Yep.
I want to make sure that he's equipped with safety button so that he can get help at a moment's notice, or at least get someone on the phone to make sure everything is okay.
And I think we've come full circle from residential security, commercial security, now personal security. And now we cover every single part. And I think that's just excellent.
And more to come on that personal security front.
Yes. And I am so excited because I think there's so much more coming down the pipeline and so much that our customers that, will keep wanting more and more. And even the growth of new customers switching over from old systems now. as the old stuff starts to die out, I think there's just so much more. So is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I guess just keep in mind that obviously you're a partner, and I'm glad you have a behind-the-scenes look at what's going on at Alarm. You see the value that we're constantly striving to deliver and the investments we're making. But all that is also made with a focus on privacy. And that to me is really, really important with any platform. When we're talking about home and children and family and loved ones and employees, I want to make sure that, I'm thrilled to say Alarm.com has always put privacy, security at the forefront of what we've developed. So.
Yep, and it keeps everybody's account safe from integrators, safe from anything like that. And what's nice is if you do need to help a customer out, we can always go in and help a customer. But other than that, they have to sign it, they have to do everything, and I think that's great. I really love, and I think that's what every company should be built on, is the forefront of privacy. So it's just excellent. So I'm so happy that we got to do this today, and join us for the next one.
I enjoyed the green room. This is great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. This was great.